Thanks for tuning in to Bag Talk, where the sophistication of finance and business meets the swag of lifestyle, a little bit of flavor, and also a little bit of swag. I'm your host, Carlton Clay, and this is my co-host, Gabby Godde. How you doing today, Gabby?
I'm awesome. How you doing, Carlton?
Ah, man, I can't complain. Finally happy to get started. We here, we starting this podcast this week, and just ready to get going. So, for yourself, what made you want to start podcasting?
Well, about a year ago, I was asked to. Someone asked me if they wanted to help me with the podcast, and I said yes. And it's a girl that started LA Style Magazine, and so that's when I did my first podcast, California Mortgage Girl podcast. So that's out there in the universe. But what I loved about it is just creating content, talking to people, and giving our wisdom to other people through just telling people about what we do.
Got you, got you. Kind of the same here for me in the sense of one, wanted to make sure that the message was spread in regards to what we do. Make sure that, for families who don't have that deep conversation per se, they're able to go ahead and do that. With us, we can give them some tips on how to get started and be able to move about building some financial, literacy over time. But as well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I also love the camera, so again, I'm gonna always, you know, be in that realm. Um, so with what you're doing, Gabby, let me just ask you, how long do you feel like that's been, or how long do you plan on continuing doing that? Is this a career that you're gonna stay in for forever, or are you ever gonna venture out and do more?
Well, I've been doing home loans for 27 years, so it is a passion of mine. It's a passion of mine to get first time home buyers into homes and then also investors to buy more homes. And I basically love showing people how to create wealth. So we all know that in the market, you have to build wealth somehow, and your job is not going to build the wealth for you. You have to be going outside of the box to be, and especially in California, buying other houses, using the equity in your house that you have now to buy more houses, or using the equity in your house to then maybe create a business. So so many people have equity in their homes and they don't even know how to use it. So that's where I come in to help them navigate that.
And that's excellent that you say that because actually, I have had my home now for about 15 years,
Okay.
and with me having my home for 15 years, I haven't touched any of the equity in it. I bought it when I was 23, and I've
Perfect.
just been in that same home in Palmdale now for 15 years. My daughter's been in there, and look, we're co-hosting, and we're able to organically speak about something that could potentially help me in the future.
Exactly.
So that's
Exactly.
great.
And I don't even know if some people maybe even pull money out of their home to then put it, in the finance world of what you guys do. So
Right,
it's
right.
that's possible too.
And that was something that I did think about as well, is just trying to make sure that whenever I did touch that equity, it was going to go to something that would either get me further in regards to building my financial future, or even again a stepping stone to be able to purchase me, another property to be able to also do the same play and run that again, moving forward.
Yes. So, basically, we had bought a house for my daughter in the year 2020. We bought it for 550. My daughter lived there for 2 years, but she's also a terrier design, so she remodeled the house.
Gotcha.
And after 2 years of living there, we were able to sell it for 830.
Oh wow.
So it was a nice pocket change. Basically my daughter was able to get a nice chunk of money, and if she
Hmm.
didn't do that, she'd just be working that 9 to 5 job, or 8 to 5 job, I should say,
Gotcha.
and not building that wealth. So she was able to put some money in her bank.
Got you, got you. And I think that again, that's something that's very important as well, in regards to that, because with me, especially getting older, I want to make sure that I have something to fall back on when
Yeah.
I do decide to retire.
Yeah.
But then also with that, I too have a daughter. I have a 15-year-old as well, and wanting to be able to make sure that she's able to have a really good head start is something that I would think that is going to be a priority too.
Well, and I have a tip for you too. So when my kids, I have 4 kids.
Okay.
The youngest is 26, the oldest is 33.
Okay.
And when they were younger, in the teens, I put them on one of my credit cards.
Got you.
What that does is it establishes their credit like right away, you know.
Okay.
So let's say they have that credit card. Doesn't mean that they're using that credit card, just
Right.
means that they have that credit from you.
Mm-hmm.
That shoots up their credit to 700 plus FICO score. So that's really good for all parents to do, to put their children on their credit cards. I'm not sure what age they have to be, but I remember when I was 16, I got my first, card. But also, I also think that all parents should be helping children buy their first home. For instance, when your daughter, did you say daughter?
Yes.
When your daughter is, let's say, 18 or 20, whatever, help her buy a house,
Right.
and that will establish some wealth for her as well.
Now, would you say that using that equity that's in the home that I have right now would be a great way to do that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. And then I also have a question with that. Do you feel like, in regards to, because I'm not sure, how do you start off in credit prior to establishing it? So let's just say for my daughter who's 15, 16, do they start with a high credit score? Do they start with a low?
They
How
start
does
with
that
nothing.
start?
They
Okay.
start with zero.
Okay.
And the only way you could have credit is if you establish credit.
Okay.
So, for instance, my dad is 97 years old. He doesn't like using credit. All his houses are paid off. So I don't know how his credit looks
Okay.
because he's not using credit. So in order to establish credit, you have to use credit. There's some tricks on credit that you want to do. For instance, if your high limit is $1,000 on that credit card, you don't want to go above 30% of the high limit. So you would only want a balance of $300 a month on that credit card.
Right. Right. Right.
So a lot of times people think that, oh, I have $1,000 high limit, and let's just say they charge up to $1,000 that month, and then they pay it off that month.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it still shows that you have $1,000 balance until 30 days later. So you really only want to charge on your credit cards to 30% of the max.
Got you. And then again, you said that do you pay off the whole thing, or do you want to keep a little bit of a balance
You would
on
want to
there?
keep a little bit of a balance on there, so you don't want to pay it all off. Keep a little money on your credit cards.
Got you. Well, that's definitely some awesome information in that regard. And then as far as establishing, let's just say, money for in the future, did you have a specific strategy that you use in regards to that, or is that something that you more so took care of as a younger, when you were younger, and then you've already had it established and been going for a while?
So all of my jobs basically had a 401k and then turned that into an IRA. But it basically just taking money as you're making money, put money away.
Right.
My dad told me, put 10% of your paycheck away every month. Put it into a savings. But you guys are more like once someone does that, then what do you do with the money? You know what I mean? So you guys have
Right.
ways to then build money. That's what I'm excited to hear from you guys too, because that is not my world. My world is more real estate, more building wealth with homes. But you guys are building wealth with
Our what we would call an index universal life policy. That is one of our strategies that we're using. We're using after-tax dollars to go ahead and help our clients be able to create their own wealth, depending on what it is that they'd like to see for themselves in retirement, whether that be to be traveling a lot or whether to be more so local, but just making sure that they have enough money to where they don't have to go ahead and return back to the workforce once they've decided to step back and retire from whatever career it is that they have going. Again, with an index universal life, that offers principal protection that will be able to get you to go ahead and, even in a market downturn, protect you from having any kind of loss, while also going ahead and being able to see market-like returns that will be able to, potentially grow your money up to 10 to 12%. So that's what we go ahead and we teach our clients, and we want to make sure that, again, they don't have to be captive to making sure that they're 59 and a half years old or retired to go ahead and take that money, they have equity into it as soon as they start to contribute. So again, you have more control over when you want to go ahead and use the money that you're going ahead and saving away for your financial freedom, let's just say.
So what is the first step on something like that? Like if I came to you, what would you tell me to do? Am I taking a large lump sum and then putting it into the index. Is that what you called it?
Well, yeah, again, they would depend on how it is that you wanted to go ahead and invest it, and we would sit down and build a strategy based off of that. But yes, if you happen to, let's just say, get a large lump sum of money that you've gotten from a 401k or an IRA, and you wanted to either go ahead and roll that over into that specific index, we can go ahead and we can do that. And then from there, you would go ahead and make a contribution each month. To that said policy, and then
Okay.
we would go ahead and build it up over time.
Okay.
And then, like I said, depending on what it is you wanted to use it, because there's different ways to go ahead and use said policy. So, if you wanted to use it to actually buy a home, you don't have to just use it for retirement. Again, that is one way that you can use it as an investment vehicle, or excuse me, a retirement vehicle. But you can also use it to buy a home. You can use it if you're looking to go ahead and give, let's just say, your kids a bump in their future.
Right.
You want to go ahead and save it up over a specific period of time, and then you want to go ahead and take some of that money out. You can do that as well. And then over also that period of time, we can reinvest it back into said policy once we've accomplished our goal.
Is there a minimum that someone would be putting in, or is there like a monthly then after you establish it, then a monthly you could just start putting monthly in?
Right, that's what you would specifically do. You would have monthly contributions because again, this is something that you go ahead and you save with it, and then like I said, once you start to contribute, you want to make sure that you leave it time to grow. So again, another thing that's very important is that establishing it as young as possible, because again, the older that you get, depending on the goals that you have, you might have to have more contributions. So again, if you have something that you're trying to establish, just to say for your kids, we want to go ahead and make sure that we're starting it off for our kids as soon as possible. So that way, again, they have the most time to be able to capitalize off of that investment.
Awesome.
Right.
Awesome.
Now, what I would also go ahead and ask for yourself, Gabby, is in your market, how do you normally get let's just say psyched up for a meeting that you're having with clients? Is there a specific way or a specific strategy you go about going ahead and doing that?
Well, I think that you should always dress to impress, even if you're sitting at your home. When you get on the phone, they can feel your vibe, how you feel, how you look. So just basically make sure you're feeling the best. Make sure you're do the show me the money. No, 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 you don't want to do that.
Right.
That's
But
the last thing you want to do. So basically, how I do bond with my clients is I do become very personable with my clients. I ask them a lot of questions. By the time that I'm done with the conversation with them, I know how many people live in their house. How many, do they have dogs? Because I need to know what kind of home that they need. So I'm asking them all those questions up front. I'm asking them, I'm asking them their income, their debt. Within 5 minutes of talking to them, as long as they're a W-2 earner, I could tell where they qualify. I've been doing this for 27 years, so I have a little bit of I basically have a niche over a lot of loan officers that just came into the market, let's just say.
Gotcha.
I don't just ask for people's stuff to bring in their W-2s, their pay stub, all that. I ask them the questions, and then without running their credit, I'm able to tell where they qualify. And then once I notice that someone, they qualify for a $500,000 home, then I ask them, hey, turn in your W-2s, pay stubs, bank statements, your driver's license, and then I could tell you, and then I could get you pre-approved for that house. In today's market, you definitely want to be approved to go looking for a house. Actually, you have to be approved to go look for a house. No real estate agent is going to go show you a house without being pre-approved, because no one's going to want to waste their time. So it's definitely, if you're going to buy a house, you want to be pre-approved.
Okay. Are most appointments that you have, are they Zoom? Are they in person? Is it a little bit of mixture of both?
Most of my appointments are over the phone.
Okay.
A lot of my appointments are over the phone or Zoom. I do a lot of Zooms for different. If you have several people that want to be involved in the phone call, then we do a Zoom. But most of mine is a phone call, so it's just a phone conversation. I've been working from home since 2018, before the big 2020 happened.
Yeah.
So I feel that I could be doing Zoom with everybody, but not all the clients are comfortable with Zoom, so just the phone call is sufficient for me.
Got you. Okay. And then for people that, might have also a surplus, do you guys ever recommend any kind of financial services, or do you just more so strictly stay with the home loan portion of it?
What do you mean by surplus?
So when I say that, it's like, hey, I see here you might have $100,000, $200,000, and some of that, yes, we can place to a home, but then there's also maybe some of that you want to invest or anything like that. Do you guys ever do that? Just like on my end, I would more than likely say, okay, yeah, you have some money to invest. We can start this portfolio here. But have you ever looked into any passive income as far as getting an actual property or no extra property or
I
anything like that?
definitely see what you're saying. So I have never done that, only for the fact that I stay in my lane. I am, 27 years doing residential home loans, and that's where I've been staying. I have a house that I inherited in the valley, and I just found a lender that is going to do my construction loan, and I won't have any payments as we're doing the construction. So we're going to be building a house. It's gonna Once we're done, it's gonna be like a $1.5 million house. It's gonna cost me like $800,000 to build. We have an ADU on there. So I stay in my lane, but once I find a product that it's like incredible, like this construction loan, I'm like, wow. Like for instance, actually, it's only for investors, so it wouldn't work for your house. So let's just say if you are an investor and you have a rental property, and the clients just moved, your tenants just moved out of that rental property. Well, now you want to fix up that property, you want to add an ADU. You could actually get a construction loan and not have any payments on it. And then now, once you're done, it's a 1 year loan. Once you're done, then you would refinance it into another loan.
Okay.
But now you're building wealth for yourself, because that house that was worth probably 500,000, maybe now worth $1 million. So a lot of people don't realize what they're sitting on when they have the equity in their house. They could be doing so much with that equity, for their family, for their future, for their children. They just don't know what to do, and that's where I come in to help them with that. I have never turned them to now. What I would love to do is refer them to you for the finance of building wealth that way. But for my expertise is all about the home loans.
Understood, understood. And of course, we would always love to, collaborate on things like that. That would always be something that we should look to, to do and spread that kind of, wealth east side. Let me ask you this question. Now, is it harder to more so get your first house, or is it harder to get a house after you've already had one?
I think for people, it's in their mind harder to get that second home, but they really don't realize it is not that hard to do. For instance, let's just say you bought your first house with an FHA 3.5% down, and they lived there for over a year. Now, what they could do is they could turn that house into a rental property, and then they could go buy another house. They would need 5% down conventional on the second home, but they could keep doing that, like every 2 years, keep buying and keep building that wealth builder for themselves. So
Okay.
yeah, it doesn't get any harder. Once you buy your first home, I think they're more timid when they buy their first home. But once you get the ball rolling, you could be buying home after home. For instance, you can turn your house into a rental
Okay.
and then purchase another home 5% down.
Okay. Okay. And I would be able to use the money that I guess, refinance from my
Yes.
first home, or the equity from my first home, to be able to put down on the second one,
Yeah,
correct?
what you would want to do on that part is you can't just refinance your home, if you're going to be buying another home, unless you do 20% down, for the fact that this is an owner occupied home. And now, if you're going to buy another owner occupied home, you would want to have that cash in hand already.
Okay.
So let's just say now you don't want to move from your home, you want to refinance and pull 20% out and buy an investment property. That you could do no problem, right away. But the next step is, what you could do on that owner occupied house is you can pull the cash out. You could then wait a year and then buy that owner occupied house again. So you just wouldn't want to do it back to back. The refinance owner occupied, because you just did a refinance owner occupied, you wouldn't be able to purchase right away owner occupied. Maybe 6 months to a year you would be able to.
Okay, okay. So I probably have to wait about a year before I went ahead and purchased a second home, and I could still be sitting in my first home, correct? While I'm of course waiting for the second home to go through,
Yes.
and things of that sort. Okay, okay. And in regards to that, I'm not sure if this is something that you could potentially answer, but as far as when the actual refinance occurs, does that normally how does that balance the new, I guess, mortgage on the first home? Does it normally triple, double? Is it something that or does that vary?
Well, it depends. Now, a lot of people today, they have the really low interest rates, and that's why they're not wanting to refinance.
Okay.
But there's also really good second loans out there. So you really technically don't need a refinance. You could technically pull a second on your home, not touching that interest rate on the 1st, and use that money. I mean, it just depends on how much cash you're talking about, of how much that monthly payment would be.
Okay, okay. Look, I don't want to give up too much, but I know that I bought the home at a time where it was about $90,000. I don't know if it's ever going to go down that
Okay, question
low
is
again.
what is your interest rate?
Interest rate right now, I believe it was at 2%.
Oh yeah, see,
maybe?
2%. So I would suggest not moving that.
Okay.
I would suggest not refinancing that. But what I would suggest is getting a second loan.
Okay, okay.
And
Would that be like a HELOC?
there's HELOCs and there's also fixed loans. So there's two different kinds of second loans. There's the HELOC, and that one is basically tied to the index. So that one moves. That interest rate moves. So I don't suggest that one, especially in today's market that's volatile. I would do the second that's a fixed rate. So
Gotcha.
that payment never changes. So that's
Gotcha.
the one I would suggest.
Okay. So kind of get a little bit off topic. In regards to, you and your family, how does that go lifestyle wise? Do you guys normally travel a lot? Are you guys more so local? How does that work for you guys?
Well, we do travel a lot to Mexico. We have a timeshare in Cancun that we've had for about 15 years. But we also have houses in Mexico, close to Puerto Vallarta. So we're doing a lot of traveling to Mexico. My husband is also an off-road racer, so he races the Baja 1000, the Baja 500. So we are going to Mexico a lot. I was also, what you probably don't know, is I was born in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now with you being, so do you have Latin background as well? Just
My
besides
mother,
being born there?
my mother is Spanish, and so I was the only out of 5 kids. I was the only one that was born there. The 4 other siblings were born here in California.
Okay.
They happened to be in Mexico, and so that's why I was the only one. But I do have dual citizenship. We are also creating a retreat in Mexico. So I love Mexico. That's just one of my places to go. But I also love Cancun. I love the beaches of Cancun, but I love the little town that I grew up in. Or not, I didn't grow up there. I came to California when I was 2. But I love that little town. It's a little beach town. It's called Manzanilla. So there's a town called Manzanillo, and that's the bigger town. And this is a little beach town called Manzanilla, and that's basically where we have a house, couple houses.
That's really awesome. I've been to both actually. I've been to Cabo and I've been to Cancun as well. I love them both. I would just say with Cabo, it was just a lot more. It seemed to be smaller.
Well, what people don't realize about Cabo, we have a lot of friends that have houses in Cabo
Okay.
too. It's more deserty in Cabo.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never been to Puerto Vallarta, you definitely need to go to Puerto Vallarta because it's very jungly, very foresty. It's
Okay.
like it's just beautiful there. So that's our choice. When we go to Mexico, we're going to Puerto Vallarta. We fly into Puerto Vallarta and then we drive about 3.5 hours. We rent a car and we drive into Manzanillo.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
Manzanilla, I should say, little town.
That's really awesome. Like I said, I know when I went to Cabo, it was very much so that I saw a lot of desert rock. I mean, I know it's humid in both areas, but Cabo is very humid. And I did a lot of stuff there, like as far as I rode off road there. I rode a camel there. I rode a dolphin there, which I didn't think that I would see dolphins in Cabo for some reason, but I was able to ride a dolphin there. And then You know, I kind of got my thrill when I let him do a bungee swing and swing me through two
Oh
canyons.
gosh.
So that was crazy. I didn't expect that going in, but I just was like, hey,
Yeah, we did
we'll
the
do it.
zip lining when we were in Puerto Vallarta. So you end up you when you zip line in Puerto Vallarta. There's two of them, and I've done both, and I like one is better than the other. The one that I love is you end up in the river, and you end up not in the river, but you could go swimming in the river, and then you have lunch at the end. It's really cool.
Right, right. I went to a place like that as well, where it was just everything located in one place, and like you said, it had the zip lining, it had the camelback, it had the four wheeling, and the I guess you call it a dune buggy, I believe.
Yeah.
And then, like I said again, we were able to do the bungee. So, in regards to also family, how long have you been married?
We have been married. We Our first date was July 5th of 2000,
Okay, okay,
and then we got married Cinco de Mayo 2001.
awesome,
So
awesome.
we're going on 26 years.
Okay,
26
congratulations.
years,
It's a
yeah.
milestone
It's
coming
my
up on
second
30.
marriage. First one, wasn't too good. No, but I got a beautiful daughter at it. And
Okay.
then he was also married before. He has three beautiful children. So we have four together. We don't have any together. We do have Shih Tzu, that is our baby, and we have a lot of animals. And I told you, like, our next episode, we're gonna be talking about the chickens and the eggs, because
Right.
I have 2.5 acres where I live, so we have tons of chickens and roosters and cats and dogs, and I have a little bit of a farm at home.
Awesome, awesome. That's really interesting. Look, all the stuff that you've been telling me so far, Gabby, you sound like you have an interesting background for sure. A lot to uncover. I'm still looking for the one. I'll be honest with you. Like I said, I did have a relationship where I had my daughter, and that's a great partnership. No issues in regards to that, and she's blossomed into a wonderful young lady. So I definitely am appreciative in that standpoint. I have been in a relationship now for about 2 years, and that's looking to go ahead and be something to where I can see us getting into that altar stage. So not to jinx it, but that's definitely something that I do look forward to. I do want
You
that
will
for
find that right
family
person.
wise.
Me and my husband have also been matchmakers. So you let me
Okay.
know you're single and looking. I'll be on
Okay.
the lookout.
Okay. Look, I will. I will not. My girlfriend, you will not see that yet. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
you do have a girlfriend. Okay,
Yeah,
you said
yeah.
you're not single. You
No,
have
no,
a
no,
girlfriend.
no. I was just saying the one that I am in a relationship with right now. I can see us going
Oh,
down
I
that
see.
road. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. I can see that, but
I missed that part.
you better stay on your P's and Q's is what I'm gonna tell you. But me too at the same time. But to kind of switch speeds and things like that. With this podcast, what do you see for us? What do you see us being able to do?
I see us building a lot of relationships with some friends. So we're asking our business entrepreneurs to come on and talk with us, build relationships, have different people from the community come on here, so that way we can basically help our community by the wealth of the wealth of what am I saying? The wealth of expertise that each of us want to bring on. So our
Hmm.
goal is to bring on different business owners, so that way we could bring their wealth of interest to the podcast and let you know what's going on in the community of Antelope Valley.
I would agree. I definitely agree. We do want to make sure that we have that entrepreneurial spirit as far as the guests that we bring on. We want to make sure that we're adding value and again show people how to, stay in their bag and deepen it. If we can go ahead and bring value to you and it's something that you might not know, but you want to go ahead and add so that way you can again advance yourself, your career, that's something that we would look forward to doing definitely. And then I would also say, in regards to that, we want to make sure that we also are able to add our own twist, add our own value to the people that we bring on, and ask them good questions that can go ahead and bring out their personality, maybe some quirks that they might not, talk about on their day to day, just in regards to, like I said again, fashion, maybe the music that they listen to. Also want to here and there bring on a current event or a hot topic that we can get them to speak on that we might be able to enlighten or have our opinion with as well. Would you agree?
I agree. I agree. I think, just bringing value to our community, bringing value to the business owners of this town, and letting them be able to tell their story on our podcast is what we're looking for.
Agreed, agreed. And in regards to that, let's just go ahead and ask, what kind of music do you normally listen to, Gabby?
Oh, that's a great question. So I became a Christian in 1991, and I used to just love music. I love all kinds of music, the 80s, the 90s. I grew up with the best music out there, I believe. But
Agreed.
in 1991, when I became a Christian, guess what I did? I got rid of I had this big CD folder full of CDs,
Mm-hmm.
and I got rid of it. And I've been listening to Christian music since 1991.
Okay.
Doesn't
Okay.
mean I don't love music, but I also do know that music can also have a bad side to it. You might be listening to some type of music and you don't even realize the words are like, influencing in a bad way.
I would agree.
So, and the choice was not because I love music, but the choice was I just wanted to honor God, and so that's why. If you come in my car, it's Christian music. If you're at my home, it's going to be Christian music. Yes, do I listen to other stuff? Absolutely, but for the most part, it's Christian.
That's what it is. Okay, definitely understand. And again, I will say this, I'm definitely a Christian as well. I got baptized when I was 15 years old and accepted God as well. And that's something that I've been on a path for since then. Now, will I say that I fall short at times? Definitely. But at the same time, we of course ask for forgiveness and we move forward, correct?
Yep.
But in regards to that, I have a plethora of music that I listen to. I'm not really limited to one specific box. I love R&B. Of course, I do listen to rap as well. But then I also listen to some alternative music. I do love pop. And then every now and then I'll sprinkle in a little bit of rock. So kind of well-rounded, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Just depending on the mood that I'm in.
I
But
think the only music I don't like is hard rock. Like I'm like everything else I think is good, but hard
Okay.
rock or to bang your head rock type thing.
Now,
That is,
okay,
yeah.
I can't do that either.
Yeah.
I'm not really big. There's one other type that I'm not really big on, and just because I never was able to get into it as much, I can't really do country.
Okay.
I've had some songs where I'm like, okay, but just as a whole, it's hard for me to kind of get into that.
Yeah.
But maybe this is that I haven't had anybody introduce me to some good country where they've said, oh yeah, we can do this as well.
Yeah.
Are you breaking down, Josh? What's going on?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. I didn't know.
We've been going about 30 minutes. So
Yeah.
It's up to y'all.
So
Okay.
that's the other thing is we need to know like when to like maybe the clock somewhere would be good.
Yeah, that definitely. Because look, when I started seeing him break down, I'm like, are we
I was
done
thinking
or?
that too. I was thinking that too, like some signals maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So like, all right, where we
Wrap
at?
it.
Well,
Let's wrap
even
it
if
up.
even if you had a clock up
A
there
timer? Yeah.
or somewhere, yeah, I think that'd be
Got it. Yeah.
because we
I
don't
know
know
it.
what time it is at all right
That's
now.
true.
Right,
That's true.
right.
And I'm not gonna lie, that conversation was really going. So
See
again,
how easy it is?
yeah,
Come on.
yeah, definitely. And could have kept on going and asking more questions. So I do think that we do need a timer for sure.
Yeah.
We got to have something that's showing us like, okay, cool. Let's either move on to the next segment or make sure we're starting to get into the flow of wrapping it up, toning down,
Yep.
and making that
Yep.
transition. I'm good with that too.